So I recently started getting back into content creation, and I wanted to do a video where I show you how I built a Content OS app using Claude Code. Now, this app allows me to keep track of all the videos that I create because it's directly synced with my YouTube channel. But most importantly, it allows me to set some goals and KPIs that I can auto-measure using data coming from the videos to keep myself accountable and on track. In this video, first of all, I'm going to show you an overview of the app, and then I'm going to show you the step-by-step process that I took to actually build it. Let's jump straight in. Now, what you see here is the videos page of the Content OS. This is the page that is directly synced with my YouTube channel, and all the data you see here about the videos is synced on a daily basis. So I don't even need to log into my YouTube channels to see how many views, likes, or comments a specific video has. And what this means by having all this data locally available on my app, I can ask AI to analyze it in any way that I want. Now, the Content OS also allows me to create videos that are not yet published, and this is where I'm actually doing my planning. As you can see, I have a video record for Content OS tutorial, which is the video that I'm recording right now. And here I can go in and, first of all, track the pipeline status of the video. So whether it's in idea stage, scripting, recording, editing, or published. I can write my script here. I can write some notes. And then I can also assign the video to a goal, right? So this is where things get interesting. As you can see, all of these videos here, I can assign to a specific goal. Now, if I go to the goals page, this is what it looks like. I have several goals that help me keep track of my content creation process and make sure that I'm working towards something meaningful for me. And the cool thing about a goal is that once you set it and once you assign some videos to it, everything is automatically measured. So if my goal, let's say, is to get 50,000 views on a specific topic, and I link all those videos that match that topic, then all I have to do is set a KPI which is related to views, right? And I tell the app to capture it on a weekly basis, and this will automatically tell me how well I am tracking towards that goal, because it will look at all these videos, it will extract the real-time views, right? So the latest views number, and it will compare it to the target that I set, which is this right here. Now, here's an example of another goal where I actually have two KPIs. So on this goal, I'm measuring both views, so I have a target for views, but I also have a target for keywords that I want my videos to be ranking for. And actually, this is a manually captured KPI. So in my app, I have the ability to both have auto-captured KPIs, but also manually captured KPIs. And this gives me the flexibility in the case I want to track something that is not available in the YouTube statistics. I also have a calendar view, which shows me when my videos are published or when they're scheduled to be published, as well as when my goals are due. So a different view to see how well I'm progressing. So that's an overview of the Content OS app, and what I'll do now is I'm going to show you step by step the process I took to build it using Claude Code. So I'm going to take you through the planning process, as well as all the technical decisions and all the testing and bug fixing that I had to do with Claude in order to arrive to this outcome. If you have any questions at any point, just let me know in the comments below. So I jumped into Claude Design, and I began by giving it a detailed prompt about what I wanted to build. So I explained I explained this concept of having goals, metrics, and videos, but I went into more detail about what I wanted each page of the app to look like. So I told it that I want to build a Content OS. It should have goals. It should enable me to track goals. I gave it some examples of what a goal could look like. And then I said that the goal needs to be flexible and needs to be attached to metrics that can either be automatically measured based on data that is coming from my video records. So I want the metrics, I want to be able to define the metrics and attach them to goals, but then I want to be able to automatically capture those metrics based on the data that I have from the videos that I'm publishing. So I said this, and then I said that the next thing I want to have is video records, which in my case, because I'm a YouTube creator, I want those videos to represent YouTube videos. They can have different statuses, so they need to. I need to be able to track the status of a video. For example, if it's an idea stage, if it's in a scripting stage, in a recording and editing, or if it's published. And on the video record, I also want to store the script of the video, a title, some notes, and all the statistics that YouTube generates for each video. So things like the views, the likes, the comments, the publish date, the video link, and all the other metrics that are available on the YouTube backend. Then I said that I want my videos to be displayed on a page that can have multiple views, such as a table or a Kanban, right? So I like the idea when it comes to content creation to be able to have a Kanban view where I can have cards that represent the videos and then move them through the different stages. So from idea to scripting to recording to editing to published. So yeah, I said that my videos page, I wanted to have like two different views, one table view and one Kanban view. And then I went into the KPI, so the actual metrics. I said in terms of goals, I want to be able to capture a title, a description, and then a relation to videos. So I want to relate videos to a goal. And then finally have KPI. So a KPI is consists of a metric that I want to track, which will either be captured manually or automatically by data available on the videos that are related to the goal, right? So I also said that I want to have the option to capture some metrics manually. And this could mean things like, I didn't really fully have a good idea when I said that, but for example, I might want to track how I feel about video creation every week, right? I might want to capture like a feeling or something that will be beneficial after I reach the goal, and I can look back and see, what I've done right and what I've done wrong, or it could be something like a number that represents something to me that is important to capture. So I wanted to keep it flexible, capture manual, but also automated by data points that are available on the related video records. The metric needs to have a time interval. So when will we capture the metrics, right? Would it be every day? Would it be every 3 days? Will it be every week, right? So a KPI needs to have some kind of like capture interval. And then it also needs to have a target. So what is the actual target? For example, if my goal is to create 30 videos in 30 days, then a metric is the number of videos that I'm publishing, and I need to capture that number maybe every day, right? Every day, or it could be every week. It doesn't really matter, but we need like an interval, but also a time frame. So when is that? When do those 30 days end? Is it a month from now? Is it? It also depends when I'm going to start working on the goal. So we need a time frame as well. And I told it to start by building a wireframe. So not a full app design. I just want to start with a wireframe so I don't consume a lot of credits, a lot of Claude usage, and I can easily make changes to before building the refined design of the web app. Anyway, so I sent that prompt, and then it got back to me with some additional questions. So it asked me things like, what platforms it should design for. I said that I wanted to be available in both mobile and desktop, so I wanted to be responsive. Then it asked me like which screens matter the most to me. Pretty much all of these except from the dashboard, which I didn't have a good idea what I wanted to look like at that point. Then it asked me to enter some... what was this? The trickiest part is the KPI builder. Oh yeah, the KPI builder, how I wanted it to look like. I said that I wanted like a simple view of it. Then it asks me how should top level navigation work. I prefer sidebar, so I said sidebar. And then it also asks me some questions about the pipeline. So how I wanted the video pipeline to look like, and I said that it should be a pipeline based on the statuses. So idea to publish one after the other. Then had some questions about the goals. So I said that a video can belong to multiple goals, and I should be able to assign a video to a goal, and also about metrics, a bit more information about manual versus automatic. Anyway, so I gave it that information, and within a few minutes, I had the first iteration of the wireframe. So this is what it looked like. This is the videos page. It created with the grouped and also the Kanban view. So here we see the table, but then here's the grouped view where it's basically a table view, but it splits the videos by status. And then the Kanban view, which creates these columns where I can drag the video card between the different stages. Now, clicking on the video, we get redirected to the video detail page. So this is where we get more information about a specific video. And this is also where we can edit the title, the script, the notes. And then on the right here, we have the status, the YouTube stats, and the goals. Now, key thing to note here is that it actually created multiple variations of the same page. So one of the things I had to do at the end here to answer its questions is which one of these I chose. So I had to go through each layout and decide like which version I like the most. So this was the video detail page. Then this is the goals page here, which I quite liked. This initial version was great. It shows like the goal name, and then below is the KPI. So these things here are the KPIs. This has one KPI, which is the number of videos that are being published. And then this one is the total number of views together with the average watch time. This one is the keyword rank. So the goal is related to a keyword rank. So it shows the rank of that specific keyword in summary for all the videos that are published related to that topic, and then the click-through rate. So you see how the goal has multiple metrics attached to it, which is great. This is what I wanted to see on the goals page. Then the goal details page. So this is when you click on a goal, shows again the metrics, the KPIs, and then the videos that are related to that goal. Because a goal needs to have videos related to it, because this is how we're getting data for that goal. This here are the variations of the pages that it created for me. And actually, the one I like the most was this dashboard view here. The reason I like this the most is because it showed it showed like a summary metric of the two KPIs combined, right? So it kind of like aggregated the numbers, and then showed me like a percentage of how far I am from reaching that goal, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know like if in practice this actually works well, but from what I saw here, I liked what I saw here, because it just signaled to me that this is where I am towards reaching the goal, if I summarized all the metrics together. Then we have the new goal. This is basically the form that appears when you select to create a new goal. So this is where I can enter the goal title, the description, attach some videos. I could attach videos later on as well, but I'm able to attach it during the goal creation. And then the KPIs. So you see the KPIs have the metric that I want to track, and there's also an option for a manual value. How often the metric will be captured? So what's the interval? The target, the target number. If it's a number metric, and then when I want to reach it by. There were a few variations like this wizard and this quick modal view, which I didn't really like. I preferred the one-page form the most, so this is the one I went with. So what I did next is I basically gave it information about the versions of the layouts that I like the most. And then I also asked it to create a dashboard page because it basically recommended me here. It asked me if I wanted to see a dashboard homepage, and I said why not? Even though I didn't have a clear idea what I wanted that dashboard page to look like, I just asked it to create it just to get an idea. And then it also asked me if I want to have an off-track alert for KPIs that fall behind, and I said yes to that as well. So it took that information and created the second iteration of the wireframe. So it went ahead and added the off-track alert. So you can see here now for each goal there is like an off-track alert in the case that we're not on target with our metrics, which basically means that we're not going to hit the goal in the set time frame. It also created this dashboard page for me where it kind of like summarizes a lot of the activities and the metrics and the goals that I have in one page, which personally I didn't like. It seemed way too busy, and I didn't see the point of having this. I feel like this would create more clutter and more problems for me than solve problems. And I don't like I don't like having things on the app that don't solve a problem for me. So yeah, I didn't see the point of having this. What I liked more is this calendar page that it created now, where I can see the actual videos that are being published on the calendar. So this is based on the published date, as well as the scheduled date. So these blue videos here, these are the ones that are scheduled to be published on that set date. So it gives me an idea of like it creates like a priority for me to see in a calendar view what I need to be working on in order to meet those deadlines. Now, what I asked it to remove is these KPI capture due date cards, because I realized that, so just to give you context, what these show is when a metric will be captured. Because if you remember from what I showed you earlier, each metric has like a time interval, an interval at which it will be captured. So here we are capturing, for example, this keyword rank metric. It gets captured every few days. But what I realized is that for some metrics, for example, views is usually a metric that I want to capture on a daily basis. And if I left that on the calendar, then I would have one of these orange cards for every single day. And I think that creates more clutter than visual aid. So I decided to remove those. So here's me giving it instructions about the parts that I wanted to remove. And after it removed those parts, I simply just asked it to start refining it. And what that means is basically creating like a polished UI instead of a wireframe. So this is where it went and actually wrote some code for the UI of this app. Before it did that, also it asked me some questions about the UI. So the aesthetic direction, and I said warm and creator friendly, as well as the colors, where I said I want it to be light and purple. I want to have like a purple accent color, and also be comfortable from an information density point of view. So anyway, it went ahead and created this version here. So here we now have like a polished UI. I think it actually wrote some code for this because it's an HTML file. So everything looks the same, but of course a more polished UI that is now starting to look like an actual app. So that was my design session, and I was now at the stage where I was ready to basically move into development. And by development, I mean writing the actual code that will power this app, because so far we just have the code for the interface, the user interface, but we don't have any backend code that will make the app actually run and be usable. So Claude Design makes it has a tight integration with Claude Code. All I had to do was click on the share button on the top right corner there, and then hand off to Claude Code. it gave me this prompt here, which I had to copy and then paste into my Claude Code session here. So I pasted that there, and it fetched the design files, and it basically put that into its context so we could start building the app. So after it pulled those design files, I wrote a prompt with some information about the app, the backend of the app that I wanted to build. So I said that I wanted to be a Next.js app. So that's basically the language that I wanted to use for the backend, and I wanted to connect to a SQL database on Railway. So Railway is an infrastructure as a service platform that I like to use because it makes the deployment of databases and apps very easy. So I created a database on Railway, and I told it that I wanted to connect to that. I want the app to connect to that database. And I also said that the video data will be scraped directly from the YouTube API. So I told it to build a front end, right? So use the code from the design session to build a front end, and then also start building a basic backend to serve this front end. And this is what will slowly start shaping the foundations of this web app. So I took that information and started working on it. It asked me some follow-up questions about the type of database that I wanted and how I wanted the app to talk to that database. With that information, it started building it out. Now, while it was building the app, I hopped over to Railway and I created a new MySQL database instance. Railway makes this super simple because you just create a project in Railway, then you select the database and it auto deploys it for you. So it saves us so much time. You don't need to set up any servers and configure them and all that stuff. You just select what you want and it automatically deploys it for you. And then you get like a connection URL that you can send to Claude, so it connects the database to the app. If you want to try Railway, I'll put a link below the description so you can sign up and try it out yourself. So here's the database being created and deployed. And a few minutes later, I had a response back from Claude Code saying that the app is ready, and it was running on port 3000 of my my machine. Actually, I checked the port 3000 and I noticed that there was another app running. So I asked it to kill that app and then rerun this Content OS app, which it did. And then I was able to just visit localhost 3000 to view the app. So here is the first working version of the app. I was able to open it and navigate through the different pages. Everything seemed to be working correctly except from the actual inputs. So I wasn't able to add data to the app. What I was seeing here in the initial version was some sample data that Claude added to the front end of the app, just so I have something to see. But I obviously wanted this to be functioning correctly. So I asked it in the next iteration. I asked it to connect the backend to my Railway SQL database, so we could start making these features of the app, these forms, functional and actually displaying data that I am creating. So I went to Railway. I went to the MySQL database settings. And here I found under the, where was it? I think it was under the config, the database connect settings. I clicked here on public network and I was able to get a connection URL that I just copied and pasted into my Claude Code. I will not show it here, so because it's like anybody who sees this will have access to my data. So I will skip through this part and then show you where Claude finishes the implementation. Now here's the response I received from Claude saying that it has successfully established a connection to the database. It has created some tables on the actual database, and we can see this by going to Railway here. Here are the tables that were created, but it was still serving So if I go here, I can see that it says it was still serving some mock data from a static JS file. So I told it to switch to the live data endpoints, which is what it proposed here, so we can start seeing data on the app from the actual database. So it made the switch there, and within a few seconds, here is the real data coming from the database. Now, this is still mock data. This is not my data, but it added some mock data in the database as well, just for testing purposes. And this is what we're seeing here. Then I noticed that I wasn't able to actually add any new videos. The new video button wasn't clickable. So I asked it to take a look and find out why I wasn't able to create a new video. And it told me that the buttons come straight from the prototype, so they were not wired into any forms yet. Now, after a few minutes, it managed to fix the new video button. So I was now able to click on the button, and then I got a form that I could fill out to create a new video, and this worked great. But then I realized that when I clicked on the new video record to show its details, I wasn't able to edit any of the fields within within that page. So I told it that I was able to create a video, but I wasn't able to edit any of the fields. And I wanted it to now review all the pages of the app to make sure that they're functional, because I was noticing this pattern of the UI still being a prototype and not an actual like functioning app. So yeah, I asked it to do like a full review to ensure that both the fields on the video page were functional, but also the app as a whole was functional, like every component of the app. So it went ahead and worked on that next. Now, after it worked on that, I confirmed that I was able to edit the fields on the video page. As you can see here, I'm able to kind of like switch between them. And I was also able to add text in the script and the notes field. But then I noticed that the Kanban board wasn't working, so I wasn't able to. I could see the cards on the Kanban board, but I wasn't able to drag and drop them to different columns. I continued going through the app and checking all the components. And I didn't find any other issues that I wanted to address. So the Kanban issue was the only thing that I wanted it to fix. But after fixing the Kanban board issue, I wanted it to also start thinking about how I could integrate my YouTube channel directly with the app, so I can start pulling real data instead of having mock data. So I didn't tell it exactly what to do. I just gave it my goal, and I was expecting that it would come back with some suggestions on how we can build this integration. It asked me some follow-up questions on how I wanted the integration to be built, and I told it that I wanted to go with an OAuth connection, because the OAuth connection allows us to retrieve more data from the channel as opposed to an API connection. So I went with OAuth, even though it is a little bit more complex to set up. But priority was, of course, more data. So I asked it to go with OAuth and then create a secured endpoint and scheduler for the synchronization of the data. And I wanted the channel to be the main source of truth, which means that during this synchronization, the data synchronization process, all the data that is already available on my YouTube channel, so basically all the videos that are published together with all the metrics that is available for each video, would get pulled into this Content OS system. And then any video records that I create within the OS system would be enriched by the YouTube API once those videos get published. So this is what it means by channel being the main source of truth. So I gave it this information, and then it went ahead and started working on it. And within a few minutes, we had a response saying that it fixed the Kanban board issue, and it also created a YouTube integration with an OAuth connection. So I initially tested the Kanban board. Unfortunately, there was still an issue where the cards, I could now drag and drop the cards between the columns, but if I did multiple changes, so if I moved multiple cards at the same time, the card position, the card status wouldn't get saved into the database. So I wanted to make it more robust, which is the first thing that I wrote in the chat here. And then I proceeded to finish the YouTube integration. So even though Claude wrote the code for the YouTube integration that will retrieve all the data from a YouTube channel, I still had to provide it with some authentication credentials. And to create these credentials, you actually need to have a Google Cloud Platform account. It gave me a detailed guide that I had to go through in order to create a Google Cloud platform account, but also go through the steps of creating an OAuth consent screen and an OAuth client ID. So if you remember earlier when I was instructing it to come up with some ideas on how we can connect to YouTube, it told me that this OAuth approach gets me more data, but it's also more complex. And this is the reason why it's more complex, because there are quite a few steps involved into in getting authentication credentials that the app can use to get access to the YouTube channel and retrieve this data. So here it is. I'm not going to go through the step-by-step process. I'm just going to give you an overview of what I had to do. So I had to go to Google Cloud Platform, GCP. I just searched that on, I just click on this link here. It took me to that platform. Then I had to create a project which is tied to my Gmail. So if you have a Gmail, you should be able to do this as well. And then within that project, I had to set up some API services. So I had to give my project access to the YouTube Data API and the YouTube Analytics API. Once this was enabled, then I had to configure an OAuth screen. So an OAuth screen is basically that pop-up, that Google pop-up that appears when you're trying to log in into a specific Google service, or you're trying to authenticate into an app using your Google account. I had to set up one of those OAuth consent screens and link it to my app. And then by having that OAuth consent screen, I could then generate some credentials. So I generated those credentials. I then sent them to Claude, and it was able to add them in my environment file, this .env file that lives in the project directory. And then by having this in place, I could then go on the actual app, and then on the settings, on the YouTube settings here, you see now that I had a connect channel button. Now by clicking that button and selecting my Gmail, the same Gmail that I assigned to the Google Cloud project, this is the pop-up that I would get. So this is the OAuth screen basically. And then here I had to select these options to basically enable my app to get access to my YouTube account data. And by clicking, by allowing these options and then clicking continue, my app was now fully integrated with my YouTube channel. And I now had the option to sync the data, which would basically pull all the video data from my YouTube channel, and it would have like an ongoing integration where every day it will retrieve the latest data. So that's an overview of the process that I had to go through in order to finish setting up this YouTube integration with my app. And just like that, I was now able to sync all the data. Now, after it ran that initial sync, I realized that it wasn't just syncing the published videos from my channel. It was also syncing the private and unlisted videos, and I didn't want that. So what I asked it to do is, as part of also fixing the Kanban board issue and making it more robust, the next thing I asked it to do is change the sync settings, or I should say add an additional option to the sync settings of my YouTube channel. So it allows me to select that I don't want to retrieve any videos that are not public, right? So I wanted to basically create like a little checkbox on the sync settings where I can just say don't include any video that is not public. So those are the 2 points that I asked it to work on next, and within a few minutes I had a response. I checked the Kanban board. It was now more robust, so the changes I was making to the board, moving the cars from column to column, were actually being saved correctly. So that was great to see. And then I also went to the settings of the app and saw that there was now an option to only sync public videos, and it was checked. Now, what I asked it to do next is actually clear all the demo, seed videos, and all the videos that were imported from my channel that were marked as private and not listed. So I could have like a clean view of only the videos that I wanted to see in the app. So it did that, and now, as you can see, this new iteration had only the videos that were published on my channel, as well as the ones that I created within the OS app. So this Content OS tutorial record that I created initially and I marked as an idea was now visible separately to all the published video records. I also did a quick check of the statistics, so the views, the likes, and the comments, and the published data that it pulled from YouTube for each of my published videos, and I confirmed that it was correct. Now, at this point, the app was actually quite functional. It did everything it was supposed to do, but I kept noticing little fixes that I wanted to make. For example, I spent about an hour refining the video list page a little bit. I asked it to make the sorting to be newest to oldest by default, because I noticed that it was doing oldest to newest by default. I asked it to make the goals column more functional, because at that point it wasn't showing me any goals on the videos, even though some of these videos were related to goals. It didn't show me any goals there, so I asked it to both retrieve the goals that the videos are attached to and show them in this column, but also make it easier for me to add a goal to a video directly from this list view here. Because what I noticed by actually experimenting a little bit and trying to assign videos to goals is that I had to go to every single video page and add the goal to that page. And this was fine for goals where I only had to attach like 1 or 2 videos, but for goals where I wanted to attach like 10 or 20 videos, it was quite a painful process and very slow. So I asked it to create this little plus icon on the goals column here, so I could quickly assign a bunch of videos to a specific goal that I wanted. So that was a change that I made. And then another thing I wanted to add was the thumbnails of the videos on the actual video records here. So I asked it whether the thumbnail URLs were available in the data that I was getting from YouTube, and it confirmed that they were. So I told it to basically show these thumbnails on the video records, but then also show them inside the video pages themselves. So it went ahead and added those two. Now, the last thing I worked on was a little feature, a little addition to the KPI cards. And this was a Measure Now button that enabled me to initiate a metric measure in that moment. Because as I mentioned previously, the metrics had a time interval at which they were getting captured. So it could be every few days, every week, and so on. But at times where I wanted to instantly trigger a metric measure, I didn't have an option to do that. So I asked it to create a little button which I could click on a specific KPI that I wanted to measure in that moment in order to get the latest value. So I created that, and it was very useful to track some metrics on track the views, which I added as a metric to a goal about videos that I created in the past. So that was the last thing I worked on. And with that working, I was actually very happy about the state that the app was in. And I felt that I was ready to start using it in my daily life as part of my content creation process.